Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, welcome everybody. There's still some seating available for those who weren't sure if they could make it or not. We still have 1 or 2 seats available if you'd like to join us. And we'll open it up for public comment. If anybody would like to step up and make a public comment, now's your chance. And if not, we'll close public comment, and we'll go to item number 2, consider approval of a resolution authorizing issuance of special assessment bonds presented by our treasurer, Michael Shostak, and Laura Bassett, our representative from Dickinson Wright.
Thank you. Okay, so the resolution before you in the packet is to authorize the issuance of Series 2025 special assessment bonds. This is going to be a $5.1 million bond issuance to fund the South Bloomfield Highlands water main extension. That was approved by the board as SAD number 601. I believe it was back in October or September, somewhere in there. And after the SAD was created, my office sent letters to all of the residents notifying them of the SAD and giving them the opportunity to prepay in full. We received 4 prepayments, and that will be subtracted from the required bond proceeds. So right now, the resolution calls for $5.1 million worth of bonds. As we get closer to the actual date of the sale, which will probably be in late January or early February, we have the opportunity to adjust that down. We can't go up, but we can go down. And so that takes into account the prepayments and also whether or not we sell at a premium to get better pricing. So that's it. This is the same resolution that our counsel, Laura Bassett, prepared and has prepared every time we've done this. And I'll be back in front of you probably in 6 months when we do the village part 2. So I'm happy to entertain any questions. Otherwise, I ask for approval of this resolution.
Okay, open it up for any questions or comments. If there's not any, can we have a motion to approve?
I've got one question. I thought the amount, is there more than one bond for the South Bloomfield Highlands?
No.
Just the one?
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, make a motion that we approve the resolution as presented with the potential for adjustments as needed.
Support.
Or all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Laura.
Great job, Laura. Yay.
Item number 3, consider approval of the letter agreement with the Government Employees Labor Council, Bloomfield Township Department Heads and Deputy Department Heads, presented by Treasurer Michael Shostak.
Yeah. So, as the board is aware and familiar, we entered into brief negotiations with the unions to provide for a one-time adjustment to compensation across the board for all employees. This was in response to concerns we had with the ability to recruit and retain the best talent to work here at the township. So each one of these letter agreements is identical, and it calls for a basically a 5% increase in base wages, again, across the board, all employees. Basically, 7 of the unions were going to get a 2.75% increase on April 1st of next year in accordance with their collective bargaining agreement. We added 2.25% to that and pulled that raise forward. So instead of it being 4/1, it'll be effective the first payroll in January of 2025, and that pay period begins on January 4th. So the first payment to the employees will be on January 20th. And as I said, all of these letter agreements are identical, and they have all been approved by the unions and signed by their union presidents. So at this time, we just as a board need to approve and ratify these LOAs and authorize the supervisor and the clerk to countersign.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it. So the first one up on the agenda is with the Government Employees Labor Council, Bloomfield Township Department Heads and Deputy Department Heads Union.
Okay, any comments or questions for Michael or the,
Do we need a budget amendment?
It's a good question. Some departments may require budget amendments. As we get closer to the end of the budget year, we analyze that and we'll make budget amendments accordingly. But I think the vast majority of the activity, since we budgeted an activity level, will not require budget amendments. Is that correct, Jason? Our finance director is here.
The larger the department, the less likely they'll need a budget amendment. It'll be the smaller ones that might need
A slight one. Yeah.
Okay, so let's take a look at the September 2024 board packet, the second meeting. The public safety was overdrawn by about 19 million, 14 million in fund reserves, 5 million extra. The current budget only allows for 6.8 million in transfers. The run rate on the department is about, public safety is about 3 million a month. So that takes you, no tax revenue coming in. I think as a trustee, I'm not very comfortable unless we understand where the money is coming from to fund those. I'm not opposed to it, but I want to make sure that the money is there. We haven't had a budget review approving that the funds are available. And I just cited how, from a budget amendment standpoint, that it appears that the money to fund the budget as it originally stood is not available because of the tax revenues.
and Mark, will you go back, you said September 24, 2024 board meeting in the second meeting, and then you said something about public safety's budget was,
It was underfunded by about approximately 19 million.
19 million?
The fund reserves, according to audit, were a little over 14 million. I think it was about 4.9 million.
Okay.
And the concept is either we have the funds to pay it or we don't. I'm not opposed to it, but I think as a board, we need to make sure the funds are available for each department, and that has not happened yet.
Okay.
We did analyze it by departments. We did review it at the last study set or the last board meeting. I don't have the budgets in front of me, so I can't validate the numbers that you've provided. Something doesn't sound right. The $6.8 million in transfers. I don't know if that's correct. I know that the public safety fund gets $36 million in tax revenue. And
when is the tax revenue collected?
we're collecting it right now.
Now. So again, I don't know if the budget is in line with these. I think the budget should be in a line and should be, we should make sure that it's there. Amend the budget so we can approve the contracts so that the money's available. I think that would be the most appropriate
So
way.
Mark, but you feel the budget should be amended to show really the actual increase is 2.25?
We need to make sure we have the funds available in the
Well,
budget.
we've already budgeted for the 2.75 going into the next fiscal year, right?
The next fiscal year, yes, but it's the current year. So the current year budget is based on what we know and what's in the board packet. And the information is not publicly available. And as a trustee, I feel that if the money is not available, how do we go in and approve this across the board?
Okay, those are good questions, and I see Jason, our finance director, stepping up to the plate, so.
Yeah, so before we got anywhere near negotiating this with each group, I did the full analysis, looked at the preliminary budget and that we had to present in November, forecasted it out, also forecasted out multiple years. The funds are available. We have plenty of vacancies. I think we're down a dozen people in police and fire right now, so that goes to my comment of the larger funds probably won't need a budget amendment because of the vacancies they have and the savings we've had so far this year in healthcare and all the other big expenses. Some of the smaller funds that have just 5 people and that's really their only costs, and those budgets are so tight, those could, by the end of the year, depending on where their other items come in, might need a budget amendment, and we'll do that as necessary. But if you recall, in the November preliminary, at that time, I had projected this year to possibly have a surplus of about $3 million. So there is room in there in the current year as well as next year's, but we're still working on next year's budget.
And Jason, can you take that information and forward it to Trustee Antocoli so he can see your work on that?
And it's not just the budget, it's when it was presented, there was no detail regarding additional funds and whether or not we could meet what was budgeted out. Again, I'm not opposed to the increases.
Sure. No, I think I understand what you're saying.
I think that the 7% overall tax increase, it should be there, but we have to dot the i's and cross the t's, and that would be appropriate for the board.
So we'll work with Trustee Antocoli to get him this information by department so he can see it, and then we can address it, the balancing part, at our next board meeting in January, if you're good with that.
Well,
and you can vote no until you see what you need to see, if you'd like.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
because I think you've been in agreement to help the employees. You just need to see the homework.
Yeah, and one of the reasons I keep mentioning that I'd like to see those department numbers
Sure.
on payroll and vouchers is directly tied to this. I think when we make a decision like this to provide this increase and pull it forward, I think the residents are happy with the service, but they also want us to validate that
the
the funds.
justification.
Justification.
All of those validations have been done, by the way. I mean,
But
so we
they're
know
not available to the public.
that's what we're here to do, and that's what you're here to do. So that's what they're great questions. But just want to be clear that, as Jason indicated now and has indicated previously, the funds are there. The budgets may not need to be amended. We amend them as we get closer to the end of the year as a normal course of business. And the calculations have been done out multiple years to ensure that the funds will be there and the tax revenue is sufficient to pay for these. I have zero concern about it. The assessment was very clear. Michael provided one as well. But great questions, and we're always available. I mean, anytime before today or after, or today now. But the best place to get detailed information is before the meeting when people are at your
Well,
available to you.
there are two parts, because the last, when residents ask, why are you making this decision? Do we have the money available? And they can't find it on the website. So I think to support transparency and clarity and integrity for the board, it should be done ahead of time. We have opportunities to do it, and we need to take advantage of those opportunities. So the clarity helps, and I think it makes the residents more comfortable with the direction the board is taking.
Well, and I appreciate Mark's questions, but we did have a meeting, I believe it was December 2nd, and you were not at that meeting, unfortunately, for whatever reason, but we did have that extra meeting specifically to discuss this, at which point Jason was there, and Michael went over all the numbers with us. So we did have that, it was a closed session
Again, it was in a
meeting.
closed session. It's not available to the public.
That part is true, yes.
And I think we need to be transparent with the public, and
But
we're
we
not doing
can't
that.
do certain negotiations in front of the public.
Public.
So it'd be inappropriate to talk about some of those information, especially when it goes to negotiations with all of our unions.
Agreed on that.
So there is information there that we couldn't share publicly, and we had to validate, to your point, that the money was there. And that's what they did, and they did cash flow projections for multiple years to ensure that whatever was negotiated was fiscally sound. So I wish you had an opportunity to see that, because I think you'd been very happy with it.
I wish I did. Unfortunately, I couldn't make the meeting. And I think for me, the important part is the trust that the residents have placed in us as elected officials. The budget could have been prepared and presented, showing that the funds are there and available. A lot of the union members that we're voting to approve these items on, they have access to some of that information, especially on the accounting side. But the residents don't. So.
Is there a link online that the residents can go to look at cash balances currently?
No.
Okay.
But we have an online book that talks about our budget, though, right? Mm-hmm. And goes over all that stuff in detail by department and all that, correct? That
Yep.
you update as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And we provide quarterly reports that does show our cash balances, our balance sheet, all.
It's updated on our website every quarter.
It's on our website, and it's part of our packet. That's, I think, what Mark is referring to, the September, it should have been in October.
It's for the end of September.
It was for the quarter ending September 30th. Jason puts in the packet, I believe at the second meeting.
Yep.
Typically, the second meeting in October, he puts in a quarterly report for the quarter ended September 30th that contains our budget and how we're performing against our budget, as well as our balance sheet that shows all that.
Balance sheet is not
Likewise,
included.
I put our cash holdings, our investment report. I make that available. I do typically a verbal report to the board every quarter, usually at that second meeting in October, or the second meeting after the end of the quarter. I do a verbal report as to our cash balances and our cash holdings. So between those two reports, it provides a relatively up-to-date picture of the township's finances.
Okay. Would you like to any further comments?
No.
Any further comments? If not, we'll entertain a motion on item number 3.
I would like to make a motion.
Okay. Support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Item number 4, consider of approval of letter of agreement with Government Employees Labor Council, Bloomfield Township General Employees, presented by Treasurer Michael Shostak.
Okay, again, this is the same exact letter of agreement, and it was agreed to and signed by the GELC General Employees Union, which is all of our, town hall area employees, and all the terms are exactly the same.
Okay, any comments, questions?
I move we approve.
Same.
Same? Noted. So
Motion, we
noted.
approve.
Support.
Support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, thank you. And then item number, is it 5?
Five.
5, consider approval of a letter of agreement with Bloomfield Township Police Officers Labor Council, presented by our Treasurer Michael Shostak.
Okay, so once again, this union is the Police Officers Labor Council. This is our patrol officers union, and they agreed to the terms that all the other unions agreed to.
Okay, any comments or questions? Okay, if we have a motion
Motion to approve?
and support,
Support.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Item number 6. Is that the one we just?
Yep.
Okay, item number 6 we're on now?
Yep.
Correct? Consider approval of letter of agreement with Bloomfield Township Police Department Command Unit, presented by Michael Shostak.
Yeah, so again, same thing. This unit is the command unit, the lieutenants and the captains in our police department. And again, their union agreed to the same terms as everybody else.
Any comments or questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make motion, we approve.
Support.
And we have support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay. Okay, item number 7, consider approval of letter of agreement with Government Employees Labor Council, Bloomfield Township, DPW, Foreman, and Supervisors, presented by our treasurer, Michael Shostak.
Okay. And again, this is the same terms as agreed to by all the other unions. This is the GELC Foreman and Supervisors Union of our DPW. So it's more of a leadership union, not a very big union, but they also agreed to the same terms.
Great. Any comments or questions? Okay, if not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Support?
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Opposed.
Got it, gotcha. All passes. Okay, item number 8, consider approval of letter of agreement with Government Employees Labor Council, Bloomfield Township, DP Maintenance Employees, presented by Michael Shostak.
Yes. Okay, this letter of agreement is the same as all of the others. It was agreed to by the GELC, Bloomfield Township DPW Maintenance Employees Union. This is all of the employees in the roads and building and grounds departments.
Great. Any comments or questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion.
So moved. As support?
Support.
Support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay. All right, item number 9, consider approval of letter of agreement with American Federation of State, County, Municipal Employees, Local UA, Bloomfield Township, DPW, presented by Michael Shostak, our treasurer.
Okay. So this letter of agreement is the same as all of the others. This unit is represented by AFSCME, which is the only one of our bargaining groups that's represented by them. This is our water department employees.
Okay, any comments or questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to, Chris, did you give a motion?
Motion to support.
Support? Support. Support, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay. Item number 10, consider approval of letter of agreement with the Bloomfield Township Association Professional Firefighters, IAFF Local 3045, presented by Treasurer Michael Shostak.
Okay. So this letter of agreement is slightly, slight asterisk associated with it because the fire department, this is the General Fire Department Firefighter Union. Their collective bargaining agreement expires on March 31st of next year. All of the other unions, it's March 31st of 2026. So we have begun discussions with them on a new contract, but we wanted to offer them the same terms as all of the other unions that were getting the 2.75% increase on April 1st. So the offer that we made to this union was that they would receive the same 5% increase effective January 4th, but that this would constitute, they would agree that this would constitute their 2025 raise. And so when we formalize their next collective bargaining agreement, they agree that their next raise would be in 2026. So other than that, they agreed, and this is, other than that, this letter of agreement is exactly the same as the others.
Okay, any comments or questions on that?
The only comment I said on that is, thank you for getting that one done. That's obviously hard because that's one of our first unions that are starting to negotiate. And obviously, this is good faith on us and on both sides to come together to get this done. So I think this was a great thing. So I want to thank Michael and Mike for getting this across the finish line.
Yeah,
And I would love to make a motion in support of this.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed. Okay. Item number 11, consider approval and addendum to the employment agreement with the Township Finance Directors, presented by Michael Shostak, our treasurer.
Okay, so we have 3 current employees that are not part of any of the unions. The first one is the finance director. They have a standalone contract, an employment agreement that between the township and the finance director. And so, as the board is aware, we agreed to offer the same 5% increase to the 3 non-unionized employees. And so since they do not have a collective bargaining agreement, they have an employment agreement. This is an addendum to that employment agreement to modify the terms of the compensation to increase by 5% effective January 4th of 2025. So this is one employee's addendum. We have to do each one individually.
Okay, any questions or comments on that? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Okay,
Support.
support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Opposed.
Thank you. Item number 12, consider approval of addendum to employment agreement with Bloomfield Township Police Chief presented by Treasurer Michael Shostak.
Okay, so I gave the description in the last one. Again, the police chief is one of those employees that is not subject to a collective bargaining agreement or a member of any bargaining unit. So they have a standalone employment agreement, and we offered the same terms, the 5%, to be effective January 4th of 2025. That was agreed to, and I have the addendum here to his employment agreement that just needs to be approved by the board.
Okay, any comments?
Same.
Same. Okay, good. Any other
Motion
motion?
to approve?
And support?
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed. Thank you. Item number 13, consider approval and addendum to employment agreement with Township Fire Chief presented by our Treasurer Michael Shostak.
Thank you. The third non-unionized employee is our fire chief, and also subject to a standalone employment agreement. The same terms were offered, 5% base wage increase effective January 4th, 2025, and it was agreed to. I have the addendum here that needs to be countersigned and approved by the board.
Okay, any more comments, questions?
Same.
Okay, can I have a motion?
So moved.
Support? Support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, and that leads us to an adjournment, so
Move we adjourn.
move and support. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
We're done.